All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Really hope this mic's working, so I'm gonna check this real fast, and if it is, I'm gonna keep this all in the video because this is gonna be awesome. Oh, it's lit. We're cooking. We are cooking in gasoline, which could be a potential problem, but that doesn't matter right now. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Tyler Egan. Okay, I'm gonna switch this up a little bit. If you've watched the last few videos, I didn't say those things. Here we go. My name is Tyler Egan, and I am a wellness educator and mentor. Mentor and educator? Doesn't fucking matter. They're the same thing. Well, anyway, I'm just gonna let that be there. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In the last video, and if you haven't watched that, I'm gonna put a little pop-up up here, or maybe it's over here. I talked about how I healed my body, and I'm gonna like really conjoin the two videos together in this one because I want to be talking about I'm going to be talking more along the lines of how I've healed my mind, and this one I already feel myself getting emotional as I say this. It's interesting because in the last video I shared how I healed my body, and that really came down to like all the physical practices that I had implemented, and diving deeper into the emotional pain and trauma that I had been harboring within my own being, within my own body. And that really does connect to my mind in a lot of ways, because while my body was harboring these energies, these emotions like shame, guilt, sadness, despair, my mind had all kinds of stories around them, and a lot of these stories really stemmed from a wounded inner child inside of my own heart. And at first I couldn't really see it. I'll be real and raw with y'all. I like the way that sounds. I'll be real and raw with y'all. At first I couldn't really see it. It was like if this glass of water emits a light, and that is the light that we all are. My light was being dimmed because of the shame, guilt, despair, like all the things that I couldn't really see. But as I slowly started to like peel back the layers, I could see it more. And I could see the wounded child inside of my own heart. Like I could see, like I started looking at pictures of 7-year-old Tyler, and then through my meditations and a lot of the practice I would do to heal my mind, I just started to see it more. Like I could see a 7, 12, 16-year-old version of me explaining all of these things. Like I had patterns of like, I'm an over explainer. I got the people pleasing thing going on. I also I'm a stubborn bitch. Meaning I will like lash out at somebody and they don't even know why. Like they'll come up to me out of nowhere. Like, hey, how are you doing today? I'm like, I'm fine, all right? Leave me alone. It's like I had all of these patterns inside of me. And the more and more I could peel back the layers, the more and more I could see the inner child within who was deeply wounded. And I totally meant to say this sooner, but like, okay, if you like any of the videos, please like, comment, subscribe, all those things. Okay, anyway, back to what I was saying. So the more and more I could peel back the layers, the more and more I could see it. And so there really was this like mind-body experience when it comes to healing. Like I might have shared in the last video, but like my hips, my hips are really tight, I get super anxious. When I feel shame, because, okay, so let me explain this a minute. When I feel shame, I feel a lot in my hips. But for me, it wasn't like it was always the shame. It wasn't like I feel ashamed of myself. I wouldn't hear that thought in my mind. I wouldn't experience that feeling in my body. There were a few things I would hear. I would hear that I'm a loser, and slash or this kind of developed over the last 7 years or so. It's almost like I'm a loser turned into, and this is like a thought process I had, I'm a loser turned into I'm broken. I'm a loser turned into I'm broken. As I continued on my fitness journey and everything, like I just started to realize like I got a hip problem. Like I think I have like some form of bunions, if I understand what bunions are correctly. Specifically on my right toe a little bit more. I can't always feel my right toes that well. My right lower leg, it's like I'm disconnected from like this half of it. It's very interesting. I can't remember how I got onto that, but so like I just started to notice all of these ailments within my body, and the more I could quiet my monkey mind, my racing thoughts around it all, the more I could see the scared inner child within trying so damn hard to get love from his parents, get love from his teachers, get love from his siblings, get love from bosses, co-workers, like whoever it was, like all of it. You know, obviously the situation's changed, but anyway, I digress. Like I could just see him doing it. And at first I had to watch myself. Let me take a step back. I got all this knowledge, right? Like I learned so much. I read so many books. I listened to so many podcasts, audiobooks. I would do like online workshops, like all kinds of things. And I learned so much about pattern recognition, the human brain, psychology, physiology, the neurology, and the way the brain interacts with the body. And so, okay, I'm like, all right, I can do this now. I can fix myself. But I learned all of those things through an egoic pattern of I'm broken, I have to fix myself. And so it was never the pathway moving forward, because it was always coming from an energy that I'm broken and I have to fix myself, instead of recognizing that I am whole and complete as I am worthy of love, I am worthy of acceptance, I am worthy of everything and anything that I could possibly ever want in this moment, even though I'm broken, even though I feel like a loser. Right? It wasn't coming from that energy, like the loving energy of the mother or the father. Like it wasn't coming from that. It was coming from I'm a loser, I'm broken, I have to fix myself. So I learned all those things from that I'm broken energy, and I still tried to fix myself so much. You know, I need to drink something. I'm gonna double fist. It was coming from that space. And everything actually got worse. It got way worse. Like I remember last year, I would contemplate all the time if I was actually hurting myself more by doing all the stretching, all the mobility. And I'll illustrate this for y'all. Like, so, you know, my right hip is extremely tight in comparison to my left. And so I used to spend way more time focused on stretching out my right hip. So much so that like my right hip will just fucking tense up for no reason at all. The only thing, like okay, so it might not be in my conscious awareness in the moment what's happening, but subconsciously something pressed a button in my brain, and it triggered an sympathetic response, like a sympathetic nervous system response. So I'm in fight or flight, and my right hip will just grab, pull tension, and tense up like I'm about to fuck shit up. And I'm like, oh my God, what's happening here? And then I would stretch it out thinking that would make it go away. But it didn't, because I was still coming from the same space. And now if I'm talking about this spiritually, like my energy was the same, or if I'm talking about this physiologically from a scientific lens. From the scientific lens, my brain chemistry was still in a sympathetic state, in a fight or flight state. And the body does not heal in a fight or flight state. The body does not heal. Oh my God. The traffic stopped, and it's so fucking peaceful back here when there's no traffic. My body was in a sympathetic state. It was in an I'm in danger state. Now here's the thing, really fast. Man, I go back and forth while I'm making these videos on just sharing and opening up and being vulnerable, and then there's like the educator in me who wants to just kind of share the innate wisdom I've learned over the years. But the fight or flight response within the body is that of I'm in danger, get me out of it. And we're still dealing, like our brains still, they're the same brains that came from our ancestors in like 250 BC, where they legitimately had to worry about running from a tiger. You know, in today's world, we don't have to worry about that. But the same mechanisms to keep us safe are there. So you may not, you can consciously, in your conscious mind in this moment, recognize that I am not a threat to you, but the next thing I say can trigger something psychologically, and then that's going to send, and because your brain is so potent, it's so powerful, it can send a physiological response down to the rest of your body and cause a sympathetic nervous system response, putting you in a state of I'm in danger, get me out. And the body cannot heal in that state. I was chronically living my life in that state, stretching, doing mobility work, doing all of these things in the name of healing myself physically, not even seeing the psychological component of it all. Like I had an inner child inside of my heart who felt emotionally neglected. You know, I can go down the psychological rabbit hole, like it was my parents' fault, it was my teacher's fault, it was my siblings' fault, or whatever. And like, there's probably some truth. There is some truth in that, you know. And I am a grown-ass man. Why can I not give myself? This is my thought process. Why can I not give myself what I need? And that question sent me down an even bigger rabbit hole. And I would get so infuriated mentally. At least, maybe I'm wrong about this, but anger to me feels like it's a mental emotion. I mean, they're all emotions are mental, but to me, anger always feels like top heavy. I don't feel anger anywhere in my body other than my head. And I don't mean like I'm crazy. I just mean like when I am angry, I feel it up here. I feel the heat up here. So I would get angry because I lacked emotional awareness of myself. Like I could pick, like I've always been rather empathetic, I would suppose is the word. I've never identified with that word, but I've always been that way because at least the way I see it is being empathetic is like you can just pick up on people's energy, right? And so I've always been able to pick up on people's energy, but I've always reacted to it because I didn't have an emotional awareness over myself to recognize, like, you know, if someone's having a bad day and they're being super negative, I couldn't create that boundary between us for a moment and just like psychologically and recognize like I was fine before I came in contact with this person. Now I'm in contact with this person. I'm feeling all this negativity. I would feel the negativity and then I would just react to it all day long. So I started to ask myself those questions like, why can't I give myself these things? Why can't I self-soothe? Why can't I give myself the emotional needs that I have? Or why can't I fulfill my own emotional needs? And that got me so angry and pissed off and it started to do more things. Until I just started to get more quiet. And when I say it like this, it totally sounds like it happened overnight. And that is by no means the intention behind what I'm trying to say here. It did not happen overnight. But it started with a practice of meditation. I did guided meditations at first. A lot of the time, practice visualization, visualizing my future, and all those things, and manifesting my future, all that kind of stuff. And it eventually turned into me just like this morning. I meditated for about 45 minutes to an hour. I just sat there in silence. I laid on the ground. I sat there in silence and just listened. I heard all of the shame in my heart. Like I heard the inner child inside of me, like just worried about if he's going to do this thing right or that thing right, if I upset this person or that, like all the things I did wrong yesterday. Like I just listened to it. I don't do anything with it. Before I would rationalize and explain it. Oh my God, would I explain everything? I had a response for everything. Mentally, I would prepare myself to be able to explain my actions to people before I even came in contact with them. Because I was so damn, man, this is something that's so new to me and I want to put it out there and like just shine a bigger light on it. I'm just hoping the sun kind of comes on me as I say this. This is something I just recognized more recently. Is like all of that was just a disguise, a mask, if you will. Mentally blocking, like psychologically, my psychological framework was block other people from seeing the truth that's in my heart because they can hurt me. for so long, that inner child inside of me just wanted to be seen, just wanted to be loved, just wanted to be held. Like, I shit you not, yo. I don't know how this sounds, looks, or anything like that. When I need it, I'll be in a deep meditation. I'll feel like that child inside of me, and I will fucking hug myself. I will hold myself like this. I will lay in the fetal position. I don't give a rat's ass, you know? And I think I shared it in the other video, but I'm just like, I'll be like, you know what, Tyler, and I say my first name, like, Tyler, it's okay to feel shame inside of my body. And I'll speak to the child inside. Because, like, all I am is this moment. All you are is this moment as you watch this. Like, the emotions, the energies that show up, what I'm about to say next does not negate those. I just want to emphasize that. All the energies, all the emotions, all the patterns, all the thoughts that show up are passing things. They're not who we are, they're what we're experiencing. Now, logically, rationally, myself and many of you, I'm sure too, can understand that. You know it. Like, I know that's so fucking true in my heart, right? And then I get triggered. And all that shit goes out the window. It doesn't even matter at that point. I get triggered and, like, I'm gonna be a sassy motherfucking bitch. I'm an angry little turd. Like, whatever you want to call yourself, you know, whatever it is for you. I get triggered and everything goes out the window. So it started really with listening to my own thoughts and recognizing the thought patterns inside of my brain. Because one of the things I began to recognize is that the same thought patterns I heard during my meditation this morning of, like, worry, concern, and shame are the same thought patterns I had when I was like 16. The difference is the context has changed. Like, now I'm worried about building MME and the business, the vision I've had for myself over the last 7 years. But back then it was what the girl in my third block lunch period thought of my new shoes and if she liked me, you know? Like, it's the context has changed, but the energy inside of me hasn't. Well, okay, that's a lie. It's changed dramatically over the last couple of years because I've done so much inner work, but the same energy is driving those thought patterns, because thoughts are nothing more than a form of energy. If you remove our frontal lobe, I think is what it is, yeah, I think it's the frontal lobe. It's the most recent part of the brain that has manifested in the human brain as we continue to evolve in our society. If you remove that part, language isn't what we make it out to be today. Like, if you go back 3,000 years for a moment, they were probably communicating just through their energy and, like, grunts and groans and gestures and movement. They weren't using language as a form of communication. Thoughts are new within the brain, and they are just a form of energy. Our thoughts can send a physiological, they can, one, cause a psychological response, and then they can send a physiological response to the rest of your body. You can have a thought like, you could be at home watching a television show with your partner in the safest space you could ever possibly be, and then have a thought about work, and it can send you into a state of fight or flight, which will tell your body that you need to fight for survival, flight, so flee, run away, you know, if you're getting chased by, like, a pack of coyotes, or freeze, because maybe you're not, like, this is me in a lot of ways, freeze under the pressure of stress, whatever it is. That is deeply embedded into the human brain. And if we don't make the unconscious patterns of our emotional past conscious and bring light and love to them, they will continue to control our lives. It's like the Carl Jung quote. It's like, how does it go? Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will continue to control your life and you will call it fate. This goes for every area of our lives, and that was very much the way I was living. it's actually kind of entertaining in a way because I felt so broken that I went physically broke, like financially. Um, it's so fascinating. So it started with me getting really quiet inside. And man, can I tell you guys something? Like, it was not fun. Listening, I'm getting emotional as I'm saying this, listening to all the shame and guilt, all of those unconscious patterns within me. Like, there are times where I'll hear like an old boss, an old teacher, my parents, and like their judgmental, their judgment, their judgment or their opinion, and I will take it on as my own and like force it down my own throat. Like you have to do, quote, you have to do this way. You've got to go to college, get a job, find a wife, have kids. Like, that's the way we live life. And subconsciously, I believe that to be true. But in my heart, I've always known that's not my path. Like, here I am, I'm 30 years old, I'm single, and I'm trying to build a business, not trying to build a family. You know? Let me rephrase that, because I don't like the way that sounds. Trying is bullshit. I am building a business, and I am not building a family. So it started with me getting quiet, listening to my unconscious patterns, the emotions there. I had to begin to identify them. I'm not sure if this is like a prerequisite to healing, but I needed to gain an emotional awareness. I had none. I couldn't recognize my own emotions. Most people would recognize my energy before I even could, and it infuriated me 10 times more. So I had to take a step back and start to gain emotional awareness. So I would just listen to them and listen to my thoughts, listen to my body. Like, what is my body telling me now? What am I feeling? Fucking feel the shame and guilt. Like, my body would do it would have certain tendencies. So I'd be like, okay, what am I feeling right now? A lot of the time, it wouldn't be an emotion. My brain goes to logic before emotion. So I would have to, okay, I feel tightness in my hip. I feel this. I feel that. Okay, cool. Wait a little bit longer. My mind's gonna chatter. It always fucking does. And then eventually be like, oh my god, I kind of feel ashamed of myself. Oh my god, I feel fucking guilty. Like, I'm just laying here. Why am I feeling guilty? That's what my brain would say. And I would have to get past that. Like, why am I feeling guilty? It doesn't make any sense. That was a defense mechanism to keep me from seeing the guilt, the shame, all those things. Those patterns were deeply embedded into my brain. So I had to get quiet. I had to listen to them. I had to start to become aware of my own unconscious thought patterns, like how I would think and feel, and then how I would react to whether it be external stimulus or even my own internal, like my own energy. If I would feel in the energy of shame or guilt, I used to have scapegoats right away. I would turn to, caffeine was one at one point. Alcohol, I've shared about my problems with alcohol. Working out became a scapegoat, in a form of escapism from the shame and guilt that I felt I was carrying around. So many different fucking things, and so I had to recognize how I would react to that, and just be with it. This is where it wasn't comfortable. Like, healing the emotional wounds, the traumas that we have. Like, it's not fun. It's not like, on the other side of it can be, but like when you're going through the thick of it, like, it is so uncomfortable. I mean, I spent like, and I'm not saying everyone's going to be this long, because I am very stubborn, and I don't think it had to take as long as it did, but it totally did. And anyway, it took me I went like through 3 years of just like feeling the deep amount of guilt that was like I was harboring inside of me, and I kept going back to old patterns. Like, in 2021, I stopped drinking before then, and I went back to drinking at the end of 2021, and then I stopped again. It's very interesting. So I had to like, and like, in like, even though I stopped doing some old like forms of escapism, they still reared their ugly head in another way. So then the practice for me became like, well, how can I just accept myself doing this? So then with the alcohol thing, it was like, I might be drinking again, but can I just accept myself? And man, was it fucking hard. I kept hearing my brain, like, I just shamed myself. It's like, no, you're a piece of shit. Like, you have no willpower. And like, let me tell you something. I have so much willpower. I can will myself to do anything. And I don't choose to most of the time, because that's not the way I want to live my life anymore. So I had to get quiet. I had to listen to those things. I want to get quiet and get past the patterns and just be with them and hear them. And like sometimes it meant like out loud saying to myself, like I shared, it's okay to feel shame in my body. I'll say it out loud. I'll hold myself. Like I will do things like physically to really drive the point home to my brain. Like even sharing these videos, it does the same thing because I am shining a light on the darkness within myself. And it's not even necessarily darkness. It's just a part of being human. But anyway, I digress there. I'm shining a light on it. So like I have to do these things physically so that I can see myself completely and fully. And then it just became a practice of accepting myself. I was like, okay, I accept my humanness. And would constantly say those things to myself. Like, I mean, saying like it's okay to feel shame in my body brought a level of acceptance to the present moment that like I am allowed to. In a way, what I was doing was I was reparenting myself. Like I was holding myself in that moment and be like, yo, Tyler, it's okay for you to feel shame right now. Again, I think most people understand this. Like no emotion is bad. It's just a form. It's just a form of energy. It's just something we're experiencing. And whether people told me when I was younger, whether it was parents, teachers, whoever, authority figures told me it was okay to feel that way when I was a kid or not, the inner child inside of me did not feel safe to express feeling ashamed, feeling guilty, feeling angry, feeling sad. Like the things that rang true to me was like, little boys don't get angry. Little boys don't cry. Boys don't cry. I started giving myself permission to cry, get angry. Like when I train sometimes, I will give myself the permission to feel the ferociousness of the mother protecting her kid, of feeling God's fucking wrath when there's a storm coming, like a tornado. Like you are not stopping Mother Nature. I'm sorry, whoever we are, we ain't stopping Mother Nature. And so it's like I gave myself permission to just feel the ferociousness of a Category 5 hurricane, you know? Like I am Hurricane Katrina. And I channel that rage, and it's okay to feel it. It's just a matter of like where you're directing that energy. Again, so like sometimes like it's kind of funny how even when I talk to myself, I can't separate sometimes the educator in me, because I'm like educating myself in the moment. So anyway, I digressed on that point though. So I just started to bring a level of self-acceptance. You know, it started with willingness of seeing and hearing the energies inside of me. Again, I'm just this moment. Whatever emotion's coming up, if I feel ashamed right now, like what am I feeling right now? Kind of feel a level of peace. Feel a little tightness in the right side of my body. Oh, I feel a little worry about what people are going to think of this. Fear of judgment is something that I come up against all the time. So I hear that worry right now. And just at first, I would never be able to say it. I'd be like, I don't care what people think. And there's a level of truth to that. Like, I don't. And I care so fucking much what people think. And being able to see both sides of that coin. Being willing to see both sides of that coin. And then accepting the duality of humanity, of being a human being. Like, accepting that, like, I don't care, because at the end of the day, how I feel about myself when I'm with myself is the most important thing. And also, like, I want people to resonate with what I'm saying. I want people to be inspired by me sharing my story. I want people to want to work with me on their wellness journey. I want people to learn from what I share. I want all those things. Like, in a way, that means I want your approval. So accepting both of those things became the thing, because I was so attached to I don't care what people think that I couldn't recognize it. Like, I actually do, because like there is also the 7-year-old boy inside of me who like wants his mom and dad to love him. And it's a practice every single motherfucking day for me to work on that. Every single day. Every single day. Because like, I feel so deeply. I feel other people's energy. I pick up on it very easily. I feel the depth of my own sorrow so deeply. I hear thought patterns that don't sound like me, but they feel so true to me. And whether it's comes from me, it comes from a judgment or opinion from my parents or a teacher, it might not be mine, but I own it as my responsibility to heal the energy, the emotion, the inner child within, to shine a bigger light on it, to help humanity move forward. I like the way that sounds. I just don't remember how I got there. Oh, right. I was accepting the duality of it all. You know, I've been looking into a lot of ancient Chinese medicine or traditional Chinese medicine, and they talked a lot about their core principle of the yin and yang. And it's like you can't have the yin without the yang, and there is yin in yang and yang within yin. It's kind of like the masculine and the feminine. Like there is, in masculine energy there is femininity, and within feminine energy there is masculinity. There's women who probably have more testosterone than I do, and then there are probably men who have more estrogen than some women do, right? And we both men and women alike, we have testosterone and estrogen. Like, right, like you can't have the dark without the light, and the dark helps shine a brighter light. Wait, no, the light helps shine a brighter light. The light helps shine a light on the dark. And vice versa, you know? Like, you can love so deeply because you've been through sorrow. So, like, accepting both sides of that coin is a daily practice for me, every single day, you know? But healing my mind, which healed my body, that was the bigger work of it all. Healing my mind healed the child within, and each time I release more emotions, like release old energies, like, I feel a sense of relief inside of my brain. I can feel my body let go of tension. A lot, my hips, my shoulders, my right shoulder, my right shoulder, my right hip. A lot of them on the right side of my body. I can feel my body just release the tension. Like, it happened to me the other day. I went for a longboard ride with one of my coworkers, and I don't know what I released that day, but as I was driving home, I just felt a release of energy, and I felt blood rushing to my hips. And it felt so liberating. And like a year ago, I would have tried to identify what the emotion was, all these things to kind of gain that emotional awareness. But like now, I'm just like, I let it happen, and then like a day later, it comes to me. This is 2 days later, it still hasn't, but I'm not trying to force it, you know? Non-resistance to what is happening in this moment has been the key to me healing my mind, and healing my mind has healed my body, because the mind is a very powerful thing. You know, I believe it was Ram Dass, who said he said the ego, but I'm going to use it a little bit differently. The mind is a great servant, but not a good master. And the problem is we give and I'm totally paraphrasing what he said, but like we give our power over to the mind, asking it to fix our problems. The mind is very limited to the past and what we've learned. It can't see what we don't know. And so slowly but surely, I've been taking back the power, if you will, from my mind. I'm not asking my mind. I'm not asking the child within. I'm not asking my inner child to fix my current problems. I'm not asking the 7-year-old within to. I don't know why I keep saying seven. That's interesting. But I'm not asking the 7-year-old within to fix my problems today. I'm a 30-year-old man. The 7-year-old can't. He can help guide a pathway, right? Because like a lot of what MME is, what I'm doing moving forward, was born out of the fucking pain and sorrow I felt when I was drinking all the time, when I was unhealthy, when I was getting blood work done and had high triglycerides, and like it looked like I had kidney issues because of my blood work. I can't remember what the blood marker was because of that, but anyway, I mean, I had back pain, and like legitimately, I felt like a 75-year-old, 80-year-old man. I couldn't move. It hurt. Everything hurt. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't lift my arm above my head. It was so painful. Everything sucked. And what MME is born out of is that. And so that is me honoring my inner child. So part of healing my mind came with honoring the child within too. It came with honoring my desires, my deep desire to help other people become healthy, to heal their own inner child, to find a state of love, acceptance, and well-being within themselves, because it's a state of being that is inside. It is not something the outside world can give you. That is a deep desire that I have, and to fulfill my own needs, that feels vital to the mission I came here to complete. Whatever that ends up truly being, I don't know. So honoring that and seeing it through is a very important part of what I am doing every single day. And each time I go a little bit deeper into this moment, listening to what my brain is saying, and a lot of the time that is the inner child speaking, listening to what my brain is saying, feeling him, and just holding this space of acceptance for myself, receiving it and accepting what is happening heals me a little bit more. And sometimes all the physical practice I talked about in the last video, come into play. Like I do mobility work, and I breathe into certain areas. Like I'll do soft tissue work on my hip, and I'll breathe in certain areas, and I'll feel that pain. So a lot of anger is in my neck. So when I do soft tissue work on my neck, I get so fucking angry sometimes. Well, not nearly as much anymore, because when I started to recognize that I was harboring a lot of anger in my neck, I would do soft tissue work. I'm like, oh my God, that's there. And I started telling myself, yo, it's cool to feel angry. You're allowed to feel fear. You're allowed to feel the fear, because anger is usually a mask for some type of fear, right? Because in anger, there's a lot of energy, and we can protect ourselves in anger, right? So like underneath anger, there's a lot of fear. So I'm like, okay, Tyler, it's a lot. You're allowed to feel that fear, bro. You're allowed, yo, bro, you hear me? You're allowed to feel that. All right, dope. And then I'll start doing some soft tissue work. Breathe into it. And then I start to feel my nervous system come down a little bit, because my mind is chattering so much that I have to take the deep breaths to down-regulate my nervous system and quiet my mind a little bit. And then I listen. And it's like, there's a fear of being hurt here. Damn, I didn't even know that was there until I just did this. Like I shared in the last video, like, my right shoulder is in this way. And it's almost like I'm constantly trying, I mean, this makes a lot of sense. I'm trying to, here I am having like a breakthrough in this moment. I'm trying to protect my heart, because there's a fear of being hurt here. And that's so cool. Like, it's totally cool to be afraid of being hurt. And the second I say that, I feel a sense of relief around it all. Because in this moment, that is the truth. Like, it is okay to be afraid of something. That is innately a part of being a human. And while a lot of people may understand that, you can logically rationalize it, I certainly could. I needed to constantly hear that and then embody that feeling by doing physical practices. That's why I was saying in the last video, they're not nothing. Doing the physical practices and then doing the inner work. Sometimes that means speaking to myself. Sometimes that means holding myself. Sometimes that means just listening to the now. Doing the inner work to embody the feeling that, like, it's totally fucking okay to feel fear and do nothing, or take action if I feel compelled to, if I feel called to do it. You know, I spent 6 months off of social media, and the entire time, like, man, but like my business is going to build itself. Like, I need to get out there. I need to post content. I'm going to become irrelevant. People are going to forget about me. People aren't going to want to work with me anymore. All these thoughts are showing up. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I'm going to fall behind. I'm going to fall behind in technology. What about AI? How do I integrate AI? But like, I'm not even posting anything. This is how my mind will typically work if left unchecked. Like I just showed you, like what legitimately happens. Like, it's happening right now. And like holding that space of acceptance. That's cool that I do that, and I don't have to do anything. and just listen to it. Like those 6 months really came down it came down to me listening to that and becoming familiar with it. Dr. Joe Dispenza says meditation literally means knowing thyself. And I actually don't know if he's true because I've Googled the definition of meditation for it. I couldn't find that, but I like that, to know thyself. There are so many different versions of Tyler inside of me. So many inner childs, like my inner teenager, the 16-year-old stubborn rebel little bitch who just like wasn't going to listen to a single person. Man, he was stubborn. And just listening to all of them, and I'm still learning so much about myself every single day. Like I watch my nephews, and they show me a part of myself. Like I'll give you an example. One time I watched my nephew. He wasn't getting his way from his parents, and he just started. Actually, it was one time I was over there. I forget what he was doing, but he was down in the basement, and I picked him up and took him upstairs. And like he was flailing around like a loose cannon. Like it was slippery motherfucker. And I'm like sitting there trying to hold him. And like later that night I went home, I was getting my meditation, and I felt the 3-year-old inside of me doing the same thing. And so I heard God. It's like he said to me, like, just do the same thing. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, flail around like a child. And in my meditation I just started like you know, I did it for like 30 seconds and then it stopped, and like I just felt myself release so much shit. I started crying, my body loosened up a lot. I was like, oh my God, what the fuck? So accepting myself, listening to the inner child within, all of these things, listening to my inner teenager, all of these things, and then listening to my inner guidance system from God, from source, from the universe, telling me what to do next. Sometimes it's literally do nothing. Like again, I took 6 months off of social media to just listen to my chaotic mind and all of the worry. And now I can listen to it and still take action. But there are times to retreat inwards. And one of my biggest lessons was learning not to fight what's happening in this moment. Like there is like we can resist what's unfolding or we can fight what's unfolding. I have no desire to resist what's unfolding anymore. I used to resist everything. Every energy I felt, every emotion, like I don't want to anymore. I want to allow it to be. So the worry and the shame that was coming up when I quit personal training and I went back to working a 9 to 5, I just felt it and listened to it and I heard it and I held it and I loved that motherfucker inside of me. It's very interesting that I call myself motherfucker all the time, but there's something so comforting in that. It's very, very interesting. I don't know how long this has been. But let me just kind of quickly recap. My coffee's probably cold. It's like healing my mind, which inevitably healed my body, really came down to listening to, first getting emotional awareness over myself, whatever. Like I needed mental, emotional awareness. So mentally, my mind had to be able to identify the emotions because I didn't have that ability. And then start to hold the space for myself where it was okay. It was okay to feel whatever I felt. That was hard. That's another thing, man. This shit isn't always easy. Man, is it so fucking worth it. Once I had the willingness to see those things, then it came down to accepting. So first I had to see it, then listen to it and whatnot and accept it. And then once I began to open that space of acceptance for myself, then I could really start to heal it by loving it, by giving it what it wants. You know, I'm calling it an it because for a moment, let's just imagine like this is my inner child who wants to be loved by his parents. Like I can rationally say that like my 7-year-old self is in here. It's not out there. Okay, so if somebody triggers the 7-year-old self, like that's inside of me. But in this moment, I am 30-year-old Tyler Egan, who has all the life experiences. I am not the 7-year-old. So that is something that is unfolding in this moment. And depending on where I'm at in my journey, I can either start to listen, create a space of acceptance where the inner child will come out and start to listen more, start to speak more, start to voice their opinions and their desires and their needs more. Or I can continue to suppress it and shut it up and be like, no, bro, you're not allowed to speak, which is what I did. So I started to create this space of acceptance for myself where I recognize that I am this moment, I am the now, and I am not the 7-year-old self. It is a part of me, it is a part of my humanness, and I can integrate that into my life, or I continue to push it aside like you're not allowed, your needs and desires don't matter. And if you're anybody who maybe has like an abandonment wound, or you felt emotionally neglected as a child, like you may resonate with this, because if you have that abandonment wound, it's very easy for us to push our needs, our desires, and our own emotions aside for the likes of others, because that's where we get our emotional needs, desires, etc., 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 when we're 7 years old and we don't know any better. 7 is the number today, though. That's really cool. So accepting myself, and then listening to my own wants, my own needs, and my own desires, like listening to my own desire systems. Like, we desire and crave things in our lives for a reason. And I'm so saying this for myself right now because I want to say this to shine a light on it. And there's a part of me that's feeling fear and I don't want to say it. But I have spent a lot of time alone over the last few years. A lot. Very necessary for me to go inward. But I have been craving connection with people so fucking much, and I have been integrating that in my life. Like I said, I went for a longboard ride with my coworker the other day. I met up with another coworker last week for coffee, and we had a really amazing conversation. My relationship with my siblings and my family has never been better, so it's like it's happening. But I have been just craving connection for so long now, and honoring that part of my humanness. I've been single for 4.5 years, and I am craving that kind of connection. And saying these things is a part of me honoring that, because I used to just keep it locked away in here because I was afraid of getting hurt. I was afraid of getting hurt, but even there's layers to this shit. I was afraid of getting hurt, but I was afraid of being fucking seen. Crazy, man. It's so wild. And now that I'm at the space where I can listen to my desires, my needs, my wants, I can start to give them to myself. Like, I have a deep desire to push myself to the brink of death sometimes, and I fucking love it. But knowing when to go full throttle and when not to is wisdom and discernment that I've had to learn over the last few years. And it's been such a beautiful journey. Like, there is so much beauty in sorrow and despair and sadness. It's like the yin and yang. Like, you can't, like, if the yin, I don't know which one's which, or what, like, which one is yin and which one yang. If the yin is more white and yang is more black, and the yin is the light that we all want, or I think we all want. The light is the joy. It is the abundance. It is the happiness, right? It's the desires that we have fulfilled. But inside of there's that speck of darkness, because you can't have one without the other. And now that I'm at this space where it's okay for me to just see all those things and hear them all, it's so relieving. And I just want to say this: if you're still here, thank you so much. I appreciate you. I appreciate you so much, and I would love it if you could follow, and subscribe, comment, all the things, whatever. I don't know what platform I'm on. I'm getting confused. Comment, subscribe. Those are the metrics things on the YouTubes. But like, if you're on this journey too of healing, like, if you're not moving your butt daily, go get some daily butt stuff in. But if you're on this journey of healing, I hope some of this resonates with you. And if you're at a spot where it's really excruciatingly painful and you're always having to explain yourself to people, or people don't understand you, or you find yourself like wanting to avoid certain emotions, or everything just feels dense and heavy, it's like, it's a part of the journey. It will pass. And there's so much beauty on the other side of it. Like, it's something that I will mentally remind myself of all the time when I'm feeling just like a lot of dense, heavy emotional shit from the past. Like, there's beauty on the other side of this. And now, as I'm saying this, it just evolved into, there's beauty in this too. There's beauty in your pain. There is light inside of your darkness. Please see it through. It's so fucking worth it. All right, I am totally going to wrap it up there because I feel like this video is like 75 minutes long. If you watched all of this, thank you so much. I appreciate you all so much. Please comment, subscribe, all the things. Check out the My Muscle Experience. I'll put a link down below. on the YouTube channel. A lot of educational content coming that way, holistic health, well-being, emotional health. A lot of the stuff I kind of shared, like I guess I kind of already did it in a lot of ways, but a lot of the practices that have helped me, a lot of the things that have helped the clients I worked with in the past, and so much more. So please check that out too. Throw a subscribe that way, and I'll see you all in the next video.